Christianity has killed a lot of people.
Oh, I'm
A
not arguing
lot
that.
of people.
I'm not arguing that.
It's not doing it right now as much, but it has killed a lot of people. And these other religions are doing the same for whatever they deem correct for their God. And I just think it's an absolute tragedy. I think if, for lack of a better statement, I think if more people would just sit the fuck down and take some psychedelics and just chill, they would see that we're all one thing. As much as we might not want to accept that, we are the darkest shit. I like Jordan Peterson's quote: "Everybody has a little bit of Hitler," or he says, "Everybody has more than a little bit of Hitler in them. They have more than a little bit. They just don't. We're all just a few life experiences and a little few twists and turns from each other to being the same person. We're all the same thing." And I think that might sound hippie, but for me, I don't know. I wish people would just leave each other alone. That kind of sounds like the little girl said, "I wish everybody be nice and leave each other alone." But hey, man, that's all I have on it. That's all I can say, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to try real quick to convince you a little bit why maybe you should care. Just a little bit. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But as far as what's going on right now, I think that we need to care. We need to pay attention to it because one is we don't need to, as citizens of the United States, we don't need to allow, for a lot of different things, we don't need to allow our government to just keep writing blank checks of our money without oversight, and things that we don't necessarily agree with. And so I think a real conversation, I'm not saying that we need to stop funding Israel, but I think it's a conversation needs to be had to look at how much money we've actually given them over these years. And well, what have we gotten in return for it? Like, is it actually beneficial to us? And then on the other side, don't remember, it might have been Candace Owens. Somebody brought up a good point recently because now Biden is talking about sending more money over to the Gaza Strip for humanitarian reasons, which is great. But if you're just sending cash over there, there's no way that you can ensure that it's not going to go into the hands of the terrorists. So we could continue to fund this war between, again, that we're not involved in, and so I think we need to pay attention to things like this so that when we're electing people, we care about stuff like that, because the older I get, the less and less I want us policing the world.
Yes.
And that involves funding them too, because I think too often the United States says, "Oh, well, we're not going to send troops over there. We're not getting involved, but we're going to write checks to them and give them tons and tons of money."
Yeah.
And the amount of money that has gone unaccounted for that we've given to Ukraine is insane. Massive amounts of money, no accountability for it. Even whenever I was in Iraq, there was a group of soldiers that we had. Typically the way it would work is we would get a group of about 20 to 30 Iraqis, and we would have them for about a 2-week period. We would train them on the range, work with them, take them out on patrols, do things like that with them, and kind of help them learn how to be able to do it on their own type of thing. And one of the groups that we had, they didn't want to train at all. And they're like, "We haven't gotten paid in, however long." And so my commanding officer started digging into it. And what turns out what happened is that somewhere along the line from when the State Department gave the money to the Iraqi army, by the time it got to the individual soldier on the ground, it had been taken, people skipping off the top to they didn't even get paid down, that the actual soldier didn't hardly get any pay, if any. And so there was so much corruption even right then, in that scenario that I saw, that I remember thinking, like, how can the United States government, if I lost one piece of my equipment, the Marine Corps would have came down on me, but yet there's millions of dollars out there the State Department is just sending out there with no accountability for it whatsoever.
So let me ask you this. Like, this is where if I do think about it a lot, where I usually end up. I've heard somewhere, I forgot who said it, that war is the best way to launder money.
Yeah, it is.
So, like, if
that's good,
if we're going to have a one world government, or there are hidden powers that are working with each other, the highest people. The best way, I can't just give you money because my government's going to lose their shit, right? Or you can't just give me money, my government's going to lose, and you got to answer for that. So the best way to do it, when you think about the story you just said, I'm thinking off the top of my head, it's when you think of Ukraine or Israel, whatever. We've been doing this forever. When we give them money, if America is going to be it's not anymore. It's slowly going away. Actually, pretty quickly going away. The global currency that we're going to use. If I'm giving you and printing money to do it, we're fucking ourselves. Like we already see that. But at the end of the day, you're laundering money to, if there are powers in this world or in this country that you want to help, that has nothing to do with the war itself. How do you get them money? So when I think of like Ukraine and stuff like that, I'm not saying stuff ain't justified. Hey, it's whatever. It's whatever. But I'm thinking, man, that's a lot of money to just do this. When you think of like $100 billion, if you look at like seconds, the math is going to be way wrong. But like if you look at like seconds on a million versus a billion, the billion is like 30 something years of time, and a million it's like whatever it was, like weeks. So like the difference between a million and a billion, just looking at it, it gets you kind of thinking like, dude, what are they using all of this money for? And we're not seeing it. Like if this country gives 100 billion or 500, I forgot what was the highest that we gave Ukraine.
I don't even, but it's in the billions,
hundreds of billions of dollars.
When you're talking about that, that's not even real money anymore.
Yeah, that like hundreds of billions of dollars. I better see like the highest technology that you have, that we're getting. That is insane to me. So when I think of, I don't know, it just made me think of, laundering money and laundering money and giving people, or the powers of other countries. If it's collective power, it seems like it's a good way to exchange while also offsetting it with, war.
Well, there's, $1 billion buys a lot of guns and bullets, and Ukraine, they're not, at least I haven't seen, it's not like they're driving around brand new Abram tanks. They don't have stealth fighters. They're still using relatively conventional weapons. Yeah. And that doesn't cost hundreds of billions of dollars.
That's where I'm getting lost, because like even with like you mentioned the Joe Biden clearing the thing to give Iran $6 billion, and now all of a sudden Hamas has fucking M4s and US tactical gear and shit like that. That's still, I mean, $6 billion. Like if you count up all the organization that was doing that, dude, we're missing so much money. Like, where did it go?
A lot of money.
So like if Iran kept it, or what do they use it for? What's the deal with that? So I don't know. That's just how I think about it, man. But
and I think that those are things we need to pay attention to, you know, and because regardless of what side is right and what side is wrong, my question is, should we continue to fund these wars that we're not involved in? Because the argument has always been, well, we want, especially after World War II, the idea has kind of always been, well, fight the enemy somewhere else so we don't fight them here.
Yeah.
They always used, when I was in the Marines, the whole, the wolf needs to protect the sheep, but not on your own land or something like that. And that's a good theory to have, but that then makes us be involved in so many wars.
Gives us an excuse to do shit.
Yeah, it really does.